I'm Carl Pearson. This is the fourth and last video. It's a shorter video. It's part of my series for law students, a total of 4 videos. And it shows law students anywhere in the country how they can get a job, create a job for themselves upon their graduation, and why we need to elect me as Attorney General of New York State on November 2, the year 2010. It is critical. You have to listen to all 4 videos to understand the whole problem. It's complex. That's why you're needed, because it is a very complex problem trying to gain control of the economy for the people, once again, because these sophisticated people have taken it from us, and we have to really become sophisticated to take it back. Here are some of the specific things that a New York State Attorney General can do to reform Wall Street. It's far from exclusive. There's just so many things that have to be done that I need help. I really need town attorneys general to start bringing pressure at the local level to be able to do things there. So as I envision it, the New York State Attorney General will have coordination with the state attorneys general throughout the country, and coordination and information systems given to the town attorneys general or county, city attorneys general in New York State to give them information and guidance on things that they can do. But the New York State Attorney General should be challenging mergers and acquisitions on antitrust grounds. The federal government is totally devoid of that, any meaningful reform. And yet, this is how businesses keep growing too big to fail. We keep allowing them to merge and merge and merge. So what we ought to do is really put our foot down in New York and make a determination that if a bank or some other entity is too big to fail, we shouldn't allow it to operate in New York. We have that right to exclude them if they are too big to fail. At least that's the legal argument. We should sue to invalidate the illegal derivatives as illegal gambling or insurance contracts that didn't meet the requirements, or that because they're fraud and toxic and not backed with real insurance. For a variety of reasons, these things are illegal, and the New York State Attorney General really has a duty of stopping these things. Of course, he never did, but we ought to stop. We ought to start doing it right now. We ought to investigate current activities of the major players to see if what they're doing is in accordance with law. The probability it's not, and the way you tell that is look at the compensation. Anytime you have excessive money being earned, it probably is being earned illegally. The problem is you have to find out how. Now, of course, not everyone that's making a lot of money is doing it illegally, but the fortunes are built on illegal conduct. Everyone knows that. So if you see people getting bonuses, 10,000 people getting bonuses of $500,000 each on the average, you know that something's wrong. So we have to sue companies who are too big to fail. Sue them to stop them from operating in New York. We have to place companies on probation with a possible loss of right to conduct business in New York if they're borderline. Maybe, but if we see illegal activities, we could maybe stop them, or maybe have them reduce their illegal activities so they're in compliance. We need to, the Attorney General enforces false advertising. There are laws prohibiting false and misleading advertising, and we need to enforce them, and this might even be a way of stopping credit card companies and banks from charging usury, because they may not really be describing enough of what they're doing so that people understand. They may have other tricky ways of upping their rates, which may not be lawful under New York law, and maybe we could stop usury instead of doing it directly, but by the practices that they use in charging usury. Slight difference, but maybe that difference makes a difference. We need to have an action against banks and other entities that foreclose on mortgages and force them to go into court with the original mortgage and note, and have a PDF copy in color made of that by the court clerk as a prerequisite to commencing a foreclosure action, and with some kind of a statement that under oath that they have a right to settle the action, because too many people are bringing actions that they don't have a right to settle, which is costly litigation. It often winds up with a loss of a home to a person who never had the right to bring suit in the first place. So we have to stop that. And the Attorney General is obviously the one to do that in New York. We have to defend the towns and its residents and small businesses in their efforts to create a sustainable economy. There are things that the Attorney General could do, like licensing a stock exchange to help finance small business, helping maybe in the creation of a state bank, which is a big needed thing here. Look into North Dakota and see what it's done for itself. We ought to be going along the same lines in New York, because we actually can bypass some of the Federal Reserve problem, because a state bank has the right to issue money that can be deposited in any bank. So I'm not going down that road. I have a video on it which you could see, but that's an important thing. The Federal Reserve and the ripoff that's entailed in having the government borrow money from the Federal Reserve based on the credit of the U.S. government and then pay interest to the banks that own the Federal Reserve. And that interest, by the way, they don't even pay income taxes on that interest. So this whole thing of the Federal Reserve is really an outrage. So we need to help the towns and villages and counties create tuition-free colleges, equivalency colleges for their residents. We have to help create a market for their goods and services through a task marketplace. We have to help small businesses by helping municipalities create area-wide payroll administrators to make it easier for small business to hire employees and to become larger and to hire more people and to compete with the major corporations. Small business, by the way, don't kid yourself, is far more efficient. We provide much better service at a lower cost, but we're squeezed out of the marketplace, and we have to make our entry come back, and we need the help of the law enforcement people to allow us to compete, because we're being squeezed out by illegal means. So here's what you've been waiting for, hopefully, and what courses should you take in law school to prepare yourself for the job that you can create, the law job that you can create. And these are not in any particular order, except civil procedure is a required course. I hope that you're taking that anyway. Real property, including foreclosures, probably is a required course. Personal property, likewise, is probably a required course. Criminal law, even though it may only be half a semester, is still, or half a year, is still a good required course. And agency is another required course that you should be taking. Contracts is one of the most important that you could ever have. But a lot of these are important, by the way. Constitutional law may not be required, but you should really take constitutional law. You should take civil rights if they have such a course, and they should have. Securities regulation, by all means. Oh my God, it's very important that you take a course like that. Antitrust and business regulation, oh my God, how important that is. You see what I mean? It's so diversified. You have to learn so much to be able to regulate so much. But you need these courses: patents, trademarks, and copyrights, intellectual property. Once again, you should understand those fields enough to be able to litigate in them. Taxation is something else. It's complicated, but you're going to be the official in the state that's really, you could be, that's enforcing taxation to some extent. So elections law, there's probably no courses on that, but you need to know about that. Administrative law is probably elective, and you should know about that. Immigration, also know about that. There's just so many fields of law, but these are the ones that come to mind that I think you should have in order to be trained in law school, to jump right in and become a town attorney general. Go into the town and explain what you can do. You're not a routine lawyer. You would be a very highly trained person going into a job for the purpose of enforcing the rights of the town at government expense. It's a brand new field. I've created it. It exists because there's a need for it. And those jobs, there's like 40,000 jobs where people are occupying those jobs now that don't have the skills. So there's really 40,000 openings there for people that have skill, that understand what it is and can go out and sell themselves in getting a position like that. So in closing now, I need your help to get elected as New York State Attorney General on the November 2nd, 2010 election. A contribution, please, through PayPal, through a check, which is online. You can write out a check online, so to speak, or by credit card. You can make a donation to my campaign. I need to obtain donations in order to have as many people as possible learn about the candidacy. It's a national candidacy because what I'm doing could have an effect and should have an effect nationally. So whatever that you can afford. Give me a thumbs up when in hitting Facebook, the like button with Facebook if you're a Facebook member, so that you can send this information out to the people that you communicate with. And use your campus contacts and email lists that you have, personal and otherwise, to tell others about this video. And I have a free ebook offer, which you'll find on my website or somewhere, but I have free ebooks. One of them is A Law Career is the Smart Way to Avoid the Evil Economic Trio of Globalization, Outsourcing, and Declining Standard of Living. I wrote that in 2004. Oh my God, it's so relevant right now. So it's something that is good for people wanting to go to law school, but it's very useful for people going to law school and those that are maybe out of law school for 1 or 2 years. So communicate with me and I can send you an email or direct you to a link to that. Volunteer to help out my campaign on your campus. This is the most important election in the country. We're electing another president, basically. A person with the power that exceeds that of the president. Somebody who can cure the problems of the nation. We don't need more federal statutes. We don't need more cronyism and more money going to the rich. We have an opportunity of building the country once again, starting out with fundamentals and really basing it upon self-employment and small business. This is what we need and we ought to do and we can do, but we need the right person as Attorney General in New York to stop as much of the vig and illegality as you can by focusing on Wall Street, where a lot of this was created. So vote for me. Tell others about my campaign, but vote for me if you come from New York, and tell others to vote for me and get out the vote, and please volunteer to help us out. We really have need here. We're running out of time. We can do something. We can make an impact. It's up to you. I'm willing to do this. I have never held public office in my life. I see the need to do it. I have the skills to do it. I'm willing to do it, but I need your help. So please help me, and I look forward to talking with you. Thanks, bye.